Welcome. Today I want to talk about developmental trauma. I'm not talking about acute trauma or an event trauma. So, someone gets abused or some situation happens or you get in a car accident. This definitely adds to trauma and can have a big physiological effect on the body. Trauma is more than psychological. It's definitely a physical impact on the nervous system that keeps replaying over and over again. And unless you can break that patterning and break that imprinting, that could have started actually before you were born, when you were in your mother's womb. This is what I'm talking about in terms of developmental trauma. It goes all the way back to conception. And when you're in the womb, yes, you're inside your body, but your outer shell is your mother's body. And you almost don't even know the difference between your body and the mother's body. And it's like a tuning fork. It's like a vibrational frequency that is running through your mother's body into your body. And if the mum is experiencing stress, discomfort, pain, trauma within the relationship, disharmony, distrust, not having a supportive environment, which I would imagine majority of mothers had one or more of those things. It starts the developmental trauma within us, within our nervous systems. And it starts playing with the parasympathetic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, and even the freeze mode, where there's just an overload and the body just shuts down and freezes. So I've been looking into this for a long time, but I'm recently diving into something new. And what I've been doing for a long time is trauma release exercises. So actually going into the body and getting the body to a state where it actually vibrates subtly or quite violently. And this is called defragmentation of the nervous system. So the body's actually getting rid of trauma and tension deep within the core of the cells of the body, deep within the bones, within the bone marrow, within the nervous system. It's releasing it. And the way that we know that that's what it's doing is a few reasons. You look out into nature, you see animals that get into a traumatic situation. After that, you'll see a natural vibration run throughout their body. This is them releasing that trauma. Unfortunately, humans don't do this, where it's not socially acceptable to have an argument and then just burst out with some emotional outbreak or some intensity or in a healthy way. Or just within yourself, go and stamp your feet on the ground, or touch the ground physically, or bang a tree, or whatever to get it out. We've never been taught about releasing emotions, releasing that excess charge, that excess physical adrenaline within our body. So it just gets stored, and we get stuck and suppressed and contorted. So the way I discovered trauma release exercises was actually intuitively through my own innate bodily response through when I was doing ceremonies within ayahuasca. So ayahuasca, I've got a video on ayahuasca, I'll actually put the link below. It's a South American herb, and you do it in a ceremony, and it enables you to tap into some of your innate wisdom, go through a healing, whatever it is. And my body would actually start vibrating for hours and hours and hours throughout these ceremonies. And it was my nervous system defragmenting itself. And I was so interested by that response within my body. What is it doing? My mind was totally calm and balanced. And I was watching my body just move very rapidly, very instinctually. There was no control from my mind. So it was so interesting, and then that led me into the trauma release exercises, probably 6 years ago or something. And I've had some profound experiences with these exercises, and I've felt a lot release within my physical body. Because trauma, as I've already mentioned, is a physical thing. It's not just a mental thing. It's not like, yeah, you got to get over it. Just think about something else. Go and relax your mind. It's physically embedded in your nervous system. And this is what we have to understand. So then I went into some other processes that is like authentic relating and coming back to intimacy and trust within people. Because if you've got this developmental trauma, there's things that your body actually processes, your body set up to go into survival. To survive, really. That's all it does. It wants to survive. So potentially it's good when you're in the traumatic situation or you're going through something traumatic, but then once you move on, you don't actually need to hold these survival styles anymore. And one of them is connection. Most people, whether you know it or not, have a deep mistrust of other human beings and are actually deeply fearful of connection. And you can find this out by staring in someone's eyes for a very long time, observing how you feel, observing maybe if you go into social situations, do you need some substance? Do you get anxiety within those situations? How's your relationship with your partner? Is there distance? Are you not allowing others to see you and witness who you are at your core level? How's your communication? Do you communicate what you need? Or don't you feel worthy of asking for what you need? Do you communicate what you feel, your authentic truth, or do you withhold and say, oh no, that person probably doesn't want to hear that, or that person probably will get angry if I say that, so I'm just not going to say that. And you withhold, and you withhold, and you withhold, and this confuses your whole body and system. It doesn't know anymore. You don't know anymore, if you've gone through some stages that I'm mentioning, who you really are at your core, because you've withheld, you've distracted, you've disassociated with your body. If you're sitting there and you don't feel much, it means you've almost left your body because of the developmental trauma that exists within your body. So it's easier to run up to your mind, to think, to plan, to never feel. And so this creates a life without aliveness, without passion, without inspiration. Because once we start dulling ourselves because we're scared to feel the trauma, and the word trauma may put a lot of people off. It's not like you have to be so scared all the time. It's actually a very subtle experience that's going on within your nervous system. And if there is that level of subtlety that running through your nervous system of fear, of trauma, then we want to minimize that. That's what we do to survive. But once you start minimizing that feeling, you minimize life. And you constrict, which is fear, it's constriction. Whereas love is expansion and connection, fear is constriction and withholding and aloneness. And once you do that, then the juice of life can potentially disappear. But we go along and we tell ourselves, no, this is fine, this is fine. Whenever you're using the word fine, it means that there's suppression there. Okay? You're scared of feeling potentially. When I ever say, yeah, fine, it's pretty much saying like, I don't want you to come any closer. I don't want you to know what's going on inside my body. And I'm almost fearful of some connection. So I'm just going to say, it's fine, I'm fine, just please don't ask any more questions, I'm fine. It's very constrictive language. So these are all things that I've become very aware of how I've done. And I've definitely had developmental trauma. Now, I'm not exactly sure on the specific situations, but I know within my body there is developmental trauma. And I know that I've set up some survival styles to cope that has diminished my experience of life. Now, anyone who sees me or knows me, they would probably say, oh, like, you're fine. Like, yeah, there's the word again. I'm fine. I'm not here to live this life and experience as being fine. I'm here to live an expansive, abundant, rich and juicy experience where I'm on the edge of life, pushing boundaries, pushing myself out of my comfort zone, experiencing all that life has to offer. So, if I want to get to a stage where that is possible and I'm on the edge, for example, well, I've got some physical developmental trauma within my nervous system that I have to look at, that I have to experience, that I have to reintegrate and allow it to come into wholeness, acceptance, and release and relax in my nervous system. Often people with lower back pain, often people with allergies, often people with neck pain, shoulder pain. This is all the nervous system just fight or flight. So I'm really interested in that at the moment, and I'm doing a lot of research, and I work with a lot of people when they've got trauma, and I use specific ways to go into the physical experience of the trauma. It's not about so much talking about the past and recreating the past. It's actually about releasing it from the physical body, the physical nervous system. And once we can release it from there, it's gone. We go into the present moment, right here, right now, which holds the whole experience of our past, and we release it. And once we release it, and literally we feel that release, it brings in space for life to fill with fresh energy, fresh aliveness. So that's me, little ramble. That's what I'm going through, and that's what I feel like will become extremely important for people to dive into more and more. Their experience, their nervous system, developmental trauma, working with the body, and these are going to be key things for people if those people are looking for transformation, if they're looking for healing. So, all the best for your journey. And remember to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Because this is actually one way we can control the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve runs from our brain all the way to our organs, our glands. And it's scanning whether we're in a safe environment or whether we're in a fearful environment. Now, we can't control our heart, so we can't slow it down and pretend that, oh, we're in a safe environment to tell our body we're in a safe environment. We can control our breathing. So when we physically slow down our breathing, we're telling the vagus nerve that, oh, we're in a relaxed environment. The signals are sent from the lungs up to the brain goes, we're in a relaxed environment, and it loops down to the rest of the body, telling the whole body we're in a relaxed environment. So this is like a golden key that you actually have to change your experience and to bring you into deep healing and relaxation. This will take you so far, and then it's always good to actually go into the specific points within the nervous system and within your experience and transform them. But I highly recommend to simply slow down your breathing.